I know 2 weeks ago I told you guys that Kefir made the best update they have ever made, and while that was true, this latest update is going to absolutely blow your mind. I have no clue how Kefir was able to make so many changes so quickly, but guys, this update changes my understanding on what is even possible in mobile gaming. So the first thing they added was 18 new classes with an additional 30 renditions of those classes. The first 3 classes have 1 skill they can use, and then each of the other 15 classes have 2 skills that they can use, and all of those 30 skills have 3 renditions of them getting more powerful. Now, when you scroll through these skills, you're going to see skills that you've never seen before, like Taunt, which makes your enemies attack you, and the ability to instantly get sneak attack damage on another player. And some of the other ones might look like you knew what they were, but they have made over 80 changes to the different skills in the game, and almost every skill in this game is far more powerful, far more effective, and they actually have ways that they play into each other. They changed the distances of spells, the cooldowns, the wind-ups. Everything is so different, so don't assume you know what a spell does before you try it out. And then they also added 59 passive skills for these classes in a way that allows them to balance each class. For example, the max protector can have up to 200 health, whereas a max healer can only have up to 120. And a maxed assassin gets 66 extra damage with a dagger, whereas a bandit only gets 30%. And then in addition to all that, these new passives introduce 3 new concepts into the game. So for example, the Berserker is especially effective against people with ranged weapons, and the Healer is especially effective against people with melee weapons. And then they even changed it to where some classes like the Illusionist do extra damage to players, whereas other classes do extra damage to enemies. The second concept that they added to the game is stacking damage. So the Fire Mage, every time he shoots his Firebolt, will get a buff for a certain amount of time, and as long as he keeps shooting his Firebolt every minute, then he will keep stacking that buff up to 3 times, and he can get a total of 30% extra damage as long as he keeps using that spell. So the longer he's in the zone, as long as he's fighting, as long as he's not getting knocked out, he is going to do more and more damage, up to plus 30% damage, which is a crazy amount of damage. And then they added conditional plays. For example, the bandit does 30% extra damage to immobilized enemies, and he has throwing daggers that immobilize enemies. So it's kind of like he has built-in bolas. Probably smart for him to use bolas because he does 30% extra damage to any enemy that is immobilized. And then the Ice Mage has an Ice Path that he does 50% extra damage as long as he has someone immobilized on that Ice Path. So these are conditional plays, making some characters really powerful if they make a combo with their character. Honestly, each of these classes are amazing, and I don't have the time to go over all of them in this video, so I'm already working on a video including an overview of each of the new classes. Your character must choose a class, but you can switch between any character or any class that you have already unlocked. To unlock new classes, there are over 95 new tasks added to the game, and once you complete those tasks, then you can unlock that section or that class, and you can use it anytime you want. And they added the ability to donate weapons and armor to Odin's altar, which gives you mastery points towards that next class. You have to get a lot of mastery points, so I will come out with a tutorial on the best way to do this, the most efficient way to get these mastery points. It is definitely not by giving up your best weapons like this, so I went ahead and canceled that. But in this process, they added a point value to all 56 weapons and 48 armor pieces in the game, and the research team has already assembled all of the points for all of the weapons and armor, and we want to share this with you guys, but we're not quite ready yet because we haven't quite gotten all of the spell information from all of the classes, all of the armor. There's a lot of information now on Frostborn, so we're building this compilation of all kinds of different items, spells, everything you could want to know. We're building it, but we're not quite done yet, so we probably won't release it until about a week after global release. Okay, so we are going to send it to you. You're going to get all of this information. We want to share it with you guys. We built it for you guys, but we're not quite ready yet. We're waiting until we're finished with it. So we have already covered 483 changes to the game, but this update gets even better. They added 8 new weapons to the game, and 6 of those weapons have unique passive skills that we have never seen before on a weapon. The Ice Fang, which is a blue sword, has the chance to slow your enemies. This is going to be a classic warrior skill in which you're able to stick to those archers that you're trying to run into because you have that chance to slow them. Every time you slow them, you're able to stick with them and slow them again and again. So it's not the most amazing sword in the game, but it's definitely, for intermediate players, this is going to be your PvP sword. In fact, some advanced players may still use this sword for PvP because it's going to be really good for the warrior in a PvP context. The Pathfinder bow has a chance to summon a spirit bowman. So this definitely creates a lot of extra damage for you, which makes it a really good blue bow. The Hunter bow increases your movement speed by 5%, which may not seem like a whole lot, but if you have the best gear, then that means you're 5% faster than someone else that has the best gear. So that, especially in conjunction with the Hunter class, makes you really fast. And even though this is a green bow, this might actually be used often in PvP because it's going to give you such a mobility advantage that, especially in one-on-one, you're just going to be able to play the field as you are able to just be so much more mobile than anyone else around you. Freya's staff is a blue staff that gives you 1 heal per second for as long as you're holding the weapon. So as far as team sustainability, this weapon is pure gold. Literally, you will never need food again if you've got this staff. So a healer with this staff is going to be your team's favorite friend. The Dragon Staff has a chance to do burn damage at 4 damage a second for I think 4 seconds, which is really good for a blue weapon. It's not the most amazing weapon, but it's still fun to have a new weapon in the game. Then the Protector Spear has a chance of dropping this rune, which increases your armor by 12. Which is a big deal, especially because if your team's near you, that buffs your entire team by 12 armor. And then lastly, they added the Giant's Hammer, which has a chance to stun enemies. So this is going to be a favorite in PvP. Then they made 2 changes to each of the 6 shields in the game. They first tripled the amount of armor that each shield gives in the game, but they also added this block ability, which reduces for a 50% chance of reducing a certain amount of damage from each hit. So that means that high rate of fire like a staff or a bow, those type of weapons are going to be a lot less effective against someone with a shield because they have a 50% chance of blocking a significant portion, and especially the Protector has 3 times the amount. So for example, a Protector with a Nord shield is going to be able to block 15 damage out of 50% of the time. He's going to block 15 damage. So basically, he's going to become really tanky. Very difficult for a mage with a high rate of fire to be able to take this guy down. They also tripled the defense on the Staff of Support, on the Defender Staff, on Hell Staff, and they tripled the defense removed, the armor removed on the Piercing Dagger. So pretty much a lot of things have been tripled. Next, they made 102 changes to armor in the game. Leather armor was changed from blue to green, and it is now classified as medium armor, which pairs well with the 6 classes of rogues and rangers. So if you are acting as one of those classes, you will get the bonus armor that you see here under specialization. Raider's armor was also changed from blue to green and is now classified as heavy armor, which pairs well with the 3 classes of warriors. Then they added an apprentice armor set to the crafting menu, which is the green light armor equivalent of those 2 pairs, and that pairs well with the 6 damage and support mage classes. They changed heavy armor from purple to blue, and it is now classified as heavy armor, and they removed it from the crafting menu. And then they added the Pathfinder set, which is the blue equivalent for medium armor. And then they added Wizard armor, which is the blue equivalent for light armor. All of these 3 sets also give specialization bonuses for your specialization. So if you are a warrior, you get a specialization from heavy, rogues and rangers get the bonus from medium, and wizards and clerics get the benefit from light armor. They changed plate armor to now be classified as heavy, and they removed it from the crafting menu and from the shop. So plate armor, if you have it, is now a lot more valuable. It's going to become a lot more rare. They added an assassin armor set, which is the purple equivalent of medium armor. And then they added the war mage set, which is the purple equivalent for light armor. To give you a picture of how important it is to match your armor with your class, you will see here that plate armor gives me 58 armor, whereas if I switch over to a class that is appropriate for class armor, it gives me 99 armor. So that is 41 extra armor if I match the class with the armor. The new max armor is somewhere around 200, but before you get too excited, they also changed the formula for damage reduction. And while I could probably count that as another 50 plus hidden changes, I don't really understand the new system yet. So I would be counting based on my hunch of what the new system is, but I want to make sure that I really understand the new system before I do that. So if you are an advanced player in Frostborn and you would like to help me create a new formula for the new armor system, please message me on Discord. I will warn you that you will be using a lot of your personal food and armor to do this research, but once we figure out the formula, we will be able to predict damage reduction based on the armor value. Lastly, they added a new set of armor called the Instigator set, which has less armor than other purple sets that are matched with their class, but it also reduces the amount of damage you receive from monsters by 30% and increases your damage to monsters by 30%. So this is by far the best set to use at Odin's, but this also brings up the next category of the shop, which has an additional 38 changes. I'm pretty sure the shop is the only place that you can find the Instigator set, but I actually think this is a really amazing change by Kefir, because if you go to the armor section, you will see that while anyone can buy blue class armor, purple class armor is nowhere to be found in the shop. This means that Kefir has removed the ability for people to buy the best PvP gear in the game and has replaced it with a PvP option, which means that now people can spend money to get an advantage in PvE, but if you want to have the best gear in the game for PvP, then you have to complete Odin. So I think this is a brilliant change because it helps equal the playing field between free-to-play and paying players, and I cannot applaud Kefir enough for making this change. If you go to the weapons section, you will notice that packs are now divided based on classes. Though it's a little odd that daggers and shields are put together and support and combat staves are put together, but maybe they'll change that in the future. They did reduce the cost of orbs from 175 to just 50, and the survivor pack was reduced from 50 to 25. They also added the ability to buy stone walls that are already assembled, and you can just place them immediately without having to worry about getting the resources and then placing them. They changed the price of coins to where coin packs are a lot more expensive, and they added a new invader pack, which is really expensive, but it does give a professional lockpick and a sledgehammer. This brings us to the next section of rating, in which they made another 18 changes. They changed it to where there is no rating if you are under level 10, so that gives some new players some time to prepare. However, if you are above level 10, then as soon as you log in, you will start searching for other players to match with you in a raid. This process takes less than 20 minutes, and unlike the last rating system, you will get matched with other neighbors even if you log off. So once your search begins, don't log off until after the rating window is over. But after the rating window is over, then you are given a 48-hour shield before anyone can raid you again. You can increase that time with orbs if you want to, or if you like raiding, you can actually just hit participate. I'm not the family leader, so I can't do it right now, but you can actually just get rid of your shield and just get matched whenever you want to. It only takes 20 minutes. So basically, people that like raiding are going to be able to get matched as much as they want, and people that don't like raiding are going to be able to avoid it almost, at least once every 2 days. But honestly, they also worked on the matchmaking system, so you're probably gonna get matched with a bunch of people that also don't like raiding. And so it'll be a little suspenseful every 2 days for that 30 minutes, but probably no one's gonna raid you because there are just a lot of people like you that don't really like raiding. And then you're safe again for 48 hours. So you got a little bit of suspense. So honestly, they took a lot of the great things about this most recent rating system. And from my understanding, if you don't log in during that, so you have that 48-hour shield, and if no one in your family logs in, let's say you'll go on vacation for a month, you're not going to get raided because the rating search thing starts once you log in. and you don't have a shield. So honestly, I think it just has the best of all the worlds. I really like the last rating system because I found a way around it, but this allows you guys, you got a little bit of suspense, then you got 48 hours to work as hard as you want to build up your base. It's really an incredible rating system. I'm very impressed with it. I'm still trying to figure out all the mechanics, and once I do, I will make a video on everything about rating, how to work the system, how to work it to your favor. There's a lot of things that I'm coming up with that I think you guys will be really interested in. They changed it to where hatchets no longer break walls. And then they added the Raider hatchet, which is quite a bit more expensive. It requires an iron piece, but it breaks level 1 walls. So now it is way more expensive to break a level 1 wall. Raiding has gotten a lot more expensive. If you are the defender, you have an even bigger advantage. But this Raider hatchet, it says that it can cut wood. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be able to actually cut wood. So, but even if it could, you don't want to spend a really expensive thing to go cut wood. So if you build this, use it to break level 1 walls, and then use the normal hatchet to cut wood. They switched the sneak and auto button, that's something we've been asking for a very long time, and they finally changed it. It allows us to move and sneak while we're moving, which is really good, especially for the rogue class. This is a really good change. I'm very happy that they made this change. They changed the starting screen, so now you pick your class as you start the game and you start out with that weapon. And they changed the 3 starting houses to be non-class oriented, and they made 13 changes to the contents of that vault based on which house you choose. They added this pop-up that notifies you that attacking this settlement will start raiding, but attacking the settlement doesn't actually start raiding. You won't start raiding until level 10. Even then, it seems like you have about a 48-hour shield before you will get raided. But I'll talk about more about that when I talk about the rating system. They changed it to where we can no longer enter build mode when we are in someone else's property. And they changed it to where when we are in build mode, we can no longer move into our neighbor's property to scout out what is going on in that property. They converted 3 things that used to be spells into items that we can use. The illusion where we turn into a box is now a scroll. The spirit bowman is now a scroll. And the healing zone is now an item that you can use. They changed the respawn of Hell's Envoy to 7 days now instead of 1, which by the way, he's a lot easier now if you use that special PvE armor because he does 30% less damage to you and you do 30% more damage to him. So it's a lot easier to kill Hell's Envoy. And they have updated his loot. So he now has all of the new weapons. If you kill Hell's Envoy, it's very easy to get some of the new weapons and armor by killing him. And then they made over 170 small visual changes. Now, most of these are the different weapons. A lot of them look a lot cooler, both in this screen, but also in the game. A lot of the weapons look a lot cooler. And they also made some graphic changes on location. Honestly, it feels like playing a whole new game. And I think it all looks amazing. I think almost every change looks the better. For example, you can see here how leather armor looks really different with its cape and bone accessories, and it makes you look like a rogue character, which is absolutely amazing because the only time you should be wearing leather armor is if you are a rogue or a ranger. So it really fits the feel of this new game and all the classes. So in conclusion, I am blown away by this update. It is like playing a whole new game. It is fantastic, and I have a feeling this was their big push before they are going to release global, which on that note, I know that I told you guys that I thought that the next update in Frostborn was going to be the global launch, but I was obviously wrong. The devs announced after the last update that it was in preparation for the upcoming global launch, and then in their very next post they said, get ready for the upcoming update, and with no explanation that there was going to be another amazing update like this one, so I assumed that they were going to be the same thing. Obviously, the global launch is coming soon because of that first post, but I don't know how soon. I imagine it will be soon. It seems like this update is paving the way for the global launch, and honestly, it's starting to drive me crazy because I am so unbelievably excited, and I know you guys are too. So I will keep you guys posted as soon as I know something. All right, guys, I'll see you next time.